Let's talk about the one tweak that you need to make in order to make $5,000 from day trading with way less effort. Now, as one hint before we even get started, trading more does not equal more money. In other words, more time in the market does not equal more money because you're just in the market. It's the complete opposite for what most people generally think. So let's just jump right into like the math things because a lot of this is math oriented, right? So what to trade and what exactly am I talking about? I'm talking about SPY, specifically same day expiration contracts. And same day expiration contracts, those contracts typically are on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So because of that, and they expire the same day, typically they're on the average about $1 when it comes to the price for just one contract. That means, as an example, uh, in order to mathematically get 10% of a gain, the price of the contract needs to go from $1 to $1.10. Now, from a cost perspective, right, price and cost are different. One contract is $100 from a cost perspective of what you're going to buy it for. So technically, if it was going to go from an example from $1 to $10 to 1.10, excuse me, that's $10 in profit. 10% gain, but it's only $10. So obviously, that's good for some people, but for most people, it's not that great. But let's jump more into the numbers, right? If you're trading with 10 contracts, then that cost $1,000, but you net $100 in profit. Same thing if it's 20 contracts that you're trading with from a cost perspective, that's $200 in a 10% gain. Same thing, right? If you do the exact same trade with 50 contracts, which costs $5,000, your 10% gain will net you $500. And in best case scenario, this is what I trade with personally, 100 contracts. That's for $10,000. You're going to net profit of $1,000. Now I know you're looking at this and you're like, okay, cool, but I mean, you know how huge a 10% gain is, Maurice? That's insane. Rarely anyone can predict that. Rarely anyone can do that. That just sounds too easy, too good to be true. Okay, great. Then let me show you what a 10% gain realistically looks like on the same day expiration contracts. And I'll give you an example on a Monday. So this right here is an example before I get into really showing you the 10% gain. So if you're familiar with my strategy down here, this is a major demand zone, and I have some other zones up here, but we'll just only look at the bottom major demand zone. So you see this was formed over here, came up, came back to tap it, and then it rushed up, right? So the zone was formed on here and the bounce happened. So from a 1 minute chart perspective, if you look over here, this is where essentially, I'm not going to go into the details of how to do the entry candles, etc., but let's just say you're buying in this general area where the circle is. And then let's say, hey, best case scenario, it went up to our target zone, being this red zone up here. So how much percent do you, listening to this video right now, think this is? Do you think this move from what, 448 from a stock price perspective, remember we trade options, but 448.80 on up to 450, do you think this is a 10% gain, 50% gain, 2% gain, 1% gain? Leave a comment below before we go to the next slide explaining would you take this trade or not and how much percent do you think this is on the same day expiration contract. So leave a comment below with you exactly saying what you think this is. So let's figure out what exactly this is. This right here is the option contract itself. If you were to trade this, this is that same bottom down here, and this is that same top. So on the option contract, this basically went to, as an example, say if you hypothetically, right, you're not going to, but let's just say the bottom of this is about $1.10 right here. And it went up to the highest of 1.6. This move is a 46% gain. To get a 10% move, only quote unquote a 10% move, it needs to go on the option price, right? The price is over here on the right hand side from 1.10 to 1.21. 1.10 is here. 1.21 is this little candle up here. It's, I kid you not, literally the next candle. And we'll go back to the stock. So if you hypothetically bought here, it's saying to sell right here for a 10% gain that quickly. So the real question is, can you just hold on to a stock from a directional perspective for 60 seconds and then sell? Talk about a scalp. I don't really, personally, I guess that can, I guess, be a scalp to a certain degree, but 10% gain from a profit perspective definitely is not a scalp, right? If you actually know what you're doing mathematically, right? Now, heck, thinking, imagine how amazing it'd be if you bought here and sold up here. A lot of my students do that, and they'll have a 30% gain, a 40% gain. It's actually very common if you do the correct actual analysis and wait for those trades. So, as far as answering the question of, okay, how do you make $5,000 monthly? And okay, so how is this possible in the first place? Let's talk through these next points. You need the least amount of effort for the max amount of return. And as an example, for some people, it's maybe one trade a week. That's it. Because if we go back, if one trade a week and you get to the point to where you can trade with 100 contracts, which is 10 grand, and that's $1,000, that's the ultimate goal. Unless you just want to use the 10 contracts to earn $100 and take 10 trades. So $100 times 10 is $1,000. So you have to be correct 10 times. I'd much rather be correct one time than be correct 10 times. From a mathematical perspective, the odds are more against you because you're doing more. I'm telling you, you need to do less and be able to. The only way to actually trade with more obviously is for you to be comfortable from a consistent profitability perspective. How to be consistent is being good with a strategy that actually gives you returns regularly, not by building your account um, day after day after day. If you're doing good from a consistency perspective, you need to add fuel to the fire by adding more money into your account. There's no reason, this is a whole different video, but there's no reason why most people need to have a, I don't know, $500 account and say, hey, I'm going to build it to 2 million. No, you're not going to do that realistically. You're going to have a $500 account, make a couple of trades or maybe one trade or whatever it is till you get comfortable, and then slowly scale your way up. Say, okay, I'm good with one contract. Okay, I'm good with that. Okay, now I can do 10 contracts. Okay, I've been good. I'm consistent with that. Now let me see if I be consistent with 20 contracts, et cetera, on a week to week to week to week to week basis until you can get to that 100 contract level and you're okay trading wise to be able to handle the psychology of how it works. And then you'll be able to get that $1,000 a week, which can potentially be the $5,000 a month monthly. So, in other words, again, can you, from a simplistic perspective, if you're able to trade that large amount of contracts, the question really in the back of your mind should be, can you just be right once a week for 5 weeks for on 60 seconds of where the direction's going? That's it. It really does not take that much. What a lot of people are trying to do is buy down here and be like, oh man, if I just sold at one point all the way at the top here, or from a stock perspective, I guess, buying here and selling all the way up here. Why do that when you can just sell somewhere in here? You're fine. I'd rather be consistent than rather have these huge profits anyway. Um, so yeah, honestly, to close it out, you do, if you do that, then you really do not have to work anymore. And you don't have to be a slave to trading also either, because you don't have to stare at the chart doing 15, 20 trades a day. You just need one a week, and that's really it. For anyone also that maybe says, you know what, I need to work my way up to that one a week, cool. Take one trade a day, and as long as it's a quality trade, that's literally all you need. Nothing more, nothing less.